We have seen some incredible survival games being released over the past few years, from the massive popularity of Grounded 2 to the hardcore and mind-bending experience of The Alters. Survival fans have had plenty to sink their teeth into. If you're an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, you do actually have access to some of the best within the genre, and honestly today I just wanted to highlight the top 15 you can play right now with your subscriptions. So with that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and here are the best survival games you can play right now on Xbox Game Pass as of 2025. One game that I cannot believe is now over 10 years old but got a console release back in 2019 is the hardcore survival game known as DayZ. There are absolutely no map markers, daily quests, or even scoreboards to help you create your own story. There is only Chernobyl, which is 230 kilometers squared of post-Soviet country that was struck by an unknown virus, which has now turned the majority of its population into raging infected. There are also up to 60 other players along with you struggling to survive by any means necessary at any given time on the same server. The world is just so expansive and you'll have to scavenge for any resource possible, but if that doesn't make it hard enough, then you're also threatened with permadeath. It is a very hardcore experience, so when jumping in, do make sure to have some friends to help you, or just go to some smaller towns while you can. Burrow may be a sort of cuter style of survival game, but it's one that I did really enjoy my time with this November. It has you taking control of a tiny little mouse whose parents have basically been taken away for slave labor, and it's your job to keep your burrow warm, renovate it, and then help your aunt as she goes missing. It has some pretty decent warmth mechanics, which means you aren't just balancing hunger and stamina, but also how cold you get when venturing out in the snow. It is certainly a cozier game than many on this list today, and I found it a lovely laid-back experience, which was great after playing some more hardcore experiences so far this year. It also runs pretty well on the Xbox handhelds, so I do highly recommend playing this one if you have one of those devices. Next up, we have another Xbox Studios banger. The first State of Decay and the initial release of the sequel had their issues, but State of Decay 2 has gone on to become almost everything that I ever hoped for that this series would be from its onset. Switching between characters deftly to do jobs without dying, watching as your team becomes exhausted, and then carefully picking and choosing your supply and resource runs is a fine time all told, undercut with some great tension as hordes get the better as you carefully set your defenses. This is the sort of survival game where mistakes are incredibly costly, and there are a ton to be made thanks to the depth and intricacy of different systems on offer here. The co-op play only serves to enhance what's on offer here as well, so before part 3 hits, hopefully sometime in 2026, maybe it's finally time for you to wade in and see what this game's really all about. ARK, in one form or another, feels as though it's been sitting on my Xbox console since prehistoric times. It's just a forever constant of a thing. In its latest form, ARK Survival Ascended sees players survive and thrive in a huge open world map stuffed full of tameable dinosaurs, and gets a sexy graphical overhaul alongside a bunch of refined mechanics, so it looks and plays the part of a thoroughly modern adventure, though it still has some quirks. It's also a survival game that's been around long enough to accumulate nearly 200 species of dino, plenty of which can be tamed. Heck, there are even robo-dinosaurs in there now as well, alongside all the crafting and building aspects alongside it. There's also PvP aspects that make for a huge and all-encompassing survival game, really gives you that sort of full-fat survival experience that's quite often reserved for the PC hardcore. Atomfall released towards the start of 2025, and it continues Rebellion's habit of making very unique and very good games. The survival effort was one of my favourite ever settings, where you were put into a gloriously stylized British world within its end times, whereby you're tasked with marauding around the place in an attempt to figure out why you woke up in a lab with amnesia during the apocalypse. So basically it sounds like a standard Thursday afternoon in the depths of Birmingham. Atomfall really did utilise the Sniper Elite series for its core mechanics, so you know stuff like sniping and sneaking is going to be really on point here, and it sort of melds these within a story that does a great job in keeping things mysterious, and even a little sort of folksy horror tinged by its ending. It's one that I absolutely love diving into, and the fact we got a Fallout inspired game in Britain prior to GTA 6 is nothing short of incredible and definitely worth playing. Generation Zero is one game that had a fairly mixed launch. However, after a few years, it has easily become a de facto game that most in the survival space will definitely recommend. Generation Zero is set in the familiar but hostile open world of Sweden, and your once peaceful home has now been overrun by mysterious, deadly enemy machines. You must then choose your battles wisely as you engage in adrenaline-pumping guerrilla combat against loads of different mechanical forces. The environmental storytelling and sense of mystery really drives the game forward, and for me personally, I was always on the edge of my seat wondering what contraption could actually find me and try to end my ultimate playthrough. You can expect the machines to destroy buildings and your supplies that patrol different areas with their massive light beams and also scanners. It really is an intense survival experience and one I heavily recommend trying just to experience that tense atmosphere. No Man's Sky needs absolutely no introduction these days, and the work that Hello Games have really done to this experience since its release is just nothing short of amazing. There are a ton of planets to explore, a massive amount of quests, and hundreds of ships to pilot, and you'll never want to put this game down, especially with the constant great updates. I actually only started playing this game myself within the past sort of year, and I always come back to this world just due to how expansive and awesome this one really gets. You can also easily travel from planet to planet with absolutely low loading screens, which is something even Starfield couldn't even handle, and you can get lost with the amount of fauna and alien species you'll no doubt uncover. The game can be an incredibly difficult survival experience if you choose to make it this way, but one thing it is so bloody rewarding and well worth diving into in 2025. Before we dive into the remaining survival games on this list today, please do hit that like button if you're enjoying this video and subscribe for more Xbox content on a daily basis. If you are watching this video at the time of this recording just prior to Christmas, I am giving a game away every single day in that run up to Christmas as part of my 12 days of Xbox Nation. All you have to do is just comment below and you're automatically entered. I want to give a massive shout out to yesterday's winner. Just hit me up on our Discord server and I'll get that game right over to you. For the rest of you watching, and if it's just past Christmas, make sure you do stay tuned to the sales videos every single Wednesday if you want a chance of partaking in these sorts of games. Again, thanks so much for your support, and let's dive back into the remaining survival games you need to check out in 2025. This next one is developed and published by 11-Bit Studios, and it's so bloody underrated for 2025. The Alters follows protagonist Jan Dolsky, a space miner who has to make alternate versions of himself to survive a dangerous and uninhabitable planet. As the lone survivor of an expedition gone wrong, Jan's clones, decisions, and use of Rapidum pave the way for a fascinating look at who Jan is on a deeper level. Each Alter's life is also shaped by one of Jan's possible decisions earlier in his life. In a game filled with survival and exploration, the Alter's deeper story really raises questions about whether people truly have control over their destiny or even not. It is a fantastic and morally complex sci-fi adventure that is even made better by its beautiful visuals and fun gameplay. I strongly recommend you check it out, as it's such an underrated indie that needs way more attention from all of us on Xbox Game Pass. One out there for all the younger audiences, or for just people who hate Pokemon in general so much that they want to shoot a bunch of them, then Palworld is the game for you, and it's a great big colourful explosion of violence where you collect pals who can be bred to fight and even work at various tasks. Or you can just sell them, or even eat them. Palworld sets its stall out in a very harsh but very colourful world where poachers take no prisoners and danger looms incredibly large. With stuff like building aspects, tons of PAL types, mounts, engaging exploration, and then stuff like dungeons, factories, farming, and more, it's a pretty big experience right out the gate. It's also far more than the rip-off sort of Pokemon with guns experience that it was described to be, and it's way bigger than I ever expected. With multiplayer battles and co-op adventuring to boot, this one is another no-brainer, and it's even getting a load of free content heading into 2026. If you want a game that is grounded within the era of sword slashing and thatched houses, then you will definitely need to experience Medieval Dynasty. This game does go heavily under the radar, especially on Xbox Game Pass, and it really is such a shame, as this is a really unique and well done survival RPG that I never really expected. You do actually feel though like you're living as a medieval peasant, that by surviving and striving to create and grow an environment that will benefit both you and your townsfolk. There are a lot of quite unique elements here, such as building a family and also securing a dynasty, all while building certain facilities to automate supplies and food, and very in-depth skill systems not only level up your character, but also allow for building upgrades. The world that this game really brings to us is utterly stunning, and there are so many picturesque moments where you will simply be in awe. It's definitely a survival game I can heavily recommend, and it doesn't get that much attention. Survival games within the RTS genre are very rare these days, but Frostpunk 2 absolutely delivered and is much more intense than the first game in pretty much every single way. I went into this one back in September upon its release onto Xbox, and not only was I floored by the visual fidelity on offer, but also just how dark and intense this game can really get. You basically take control of a new steward, and it's then your job to negotiate with other leaders, factions, and citizens to lead them out of the cold frontier and rebuild New London. It gets very difficult from time to time as you have to manage so many factors at once, but strangely it all kind of works in a cohesion that I never experienced before. The controls are also pretty well implemented on console, but do beware there are still a few performance issues here and there. It is one of the best on this list today, and do check out my review if you want to hear my praises before you dive into this one. Astroneer really did surprise me, especially as I decided to give it a go on a whim. Xbox Game Pass really does spoil us gamers, and coming across this gem, I can certainly recommend it, especially to all of you Game Pass subscribers. This game puts you in a sandbox where exploration-based survival is set in the 25th century. There's a huge focus on interplanetary exploration, but the game also boasts a base building system that will allow all of us players to construct below ground as well as above it. Another feature is the sculptable planetary terrain mechanic, where you can basically create your entire cave systems and tunnels yourselves. With multiple planets for you to traverse and explore and several different biomes, Astroneer really does offer an exciting experience lasting as long as your imagination really holds out. Taking another different turn within the genre though is the incredibly popular Terraria. This game really stands as a testament to the timeless allure of pixelated exploration and creativity. It does have a very unique 2D sandbox, which you don't come to expect with a survival game like this, but it offers an expansive canvas where players can mine, build and battle in a charming and dynamic environment. The game's intuitive crafting system and diverse biomes ensure a constant sense of discovery with just endless possibilities. I think what really sets Terraria apart though from others within the genre is also its multiplayer functionality, and it enables you and your friends to collaborate on ambitious building projects or just face challenging bosses together. The game continually gets expanded with new content even to this day, and due to that, Terraria is not only endured but evolved, and is an easy recommendation for any Game Pass subscriber. Well, of course I'm gonna have to mention Minecraft, but I don't think there's really anything I need to even say or even explain about this one, as everyone already knows what it entails. I mean, it even has a bloody Jack Black movie about it, and even had kids screaming chicken jockey in cinemas, so it's pretty distinctive even with the older generations. Minecraft though gives you a weird campaign to complete, but it really does truly excel within its never-ending creativity and its ability to transfix adults and children alike to this day. It has a survival leap that, owing to its nature and the rules of its world, ends up feeling like a real second life, and the hook is still incredible in 2025 and into 2026. It really is that big of a game for a reason, and I've yet to find one person out there who has never tried this one experience. The original Grounded really made its mark by turning an ordinary backyard into a massive world full of survival, as players were actually shrunk down to the size of insects, facing spiders, ants and other creatures that were once harmless. The concept of this one was actually pretty simple but fascinating, and really had a very large scale audience upon the time of its 1.0 release date. It was a sort of smaller scale survival experience done on a very grand level, and instantly caught the attention of many players out there, and is easily one of the best rated survival games potentially of all time. If you remember though, Grounded 2 took the same foundation and did expand it into a new area called Brook Hollow Park, and it was way larger and more complex than we've ever seen before. The new map introduced a wide range of areas for us to explore, and that's all while sort of riding buggies that can help in battles and also resource gathering, and it was the first time we ever saw mountable insects in a Grounded experience. This game is absolutely phenomenal, even though it's still in its early access stage, and I know so many people are spending so many hours within this one even to this day. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for Grounded 2, but right now it's worthy of an experience of recommending, and it's easily, if not one of the best survival experiences that's available on Xbox Game Pass to this day. What survival experience is your favourite on Xbox Game Pass? Were there any in this list that you weren't aware of, or are you going to dive into one of these that I've announced today? If you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed, and do subscribe for more Xbox content on a daily basis. Of course, this video was actually filmed on Christmas Eve, so I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a great New Year as well, but also do check back as I will be uploading Boxing Day onwards, and obviously into 2026. Whilst here though, and if you do want to check out some more amazing Xbox content over this holiday season, why don't you check out the video on screen now. I actually covered some 15 brand new Xbox and Game Pass announcements and updates that have occurred over the past couple of weeks, and there's quite a few games here with some massive release dates.